Once upon a fiery furnace, there were 3 men with unpronounceable names, and their story is a blazing example of faith even when it appears perplexing. The heat was on, and I don't mean a scorching summer day. King Nebuchadnezzar had ordered Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to bow down and worship an image of gold. The price for non-compliance? A one-way ticket to the fiery furnace. Yikes. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. Daniel 3 verses 16 to 17, emphasis mine. The story begins with these 3 men standing tall before the king, exuding the confidence that God would deliver them from this toasty ordeal. They knew God's power and were convinced he would save them. It was a bold statement, he will deliver us, or so it seemed. But then comes the curveball. After affirming that God could and would deliver them, they dropped a bombshell, but if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up, Daniel 3 verse 18 KJV. Huh? What do you mean by if not? It seems like a paradox. They first express a strong belief in God's power to save them, and then they turn around and say, but even if he doesn't, we still won't bow. What's the deal, guys? Do you believe God is going to deliver you or not? At first glance, their faith is wobbling on the proverbial fence. But I don't think that was indeed the case. It wasn't about doubt. It was about understanding the full scope of who God is. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego weren't hedging their bets on God's power. Instead, they had a comprehensive understanding of his character. They believed in a God who could perform mighty rescues, but they also believed in a sovereign God. In their minds, God was in control, regardless of the outcome. They embraced his all-encompassing nature. Their faith didn't hinge on a miraculous deliverance, it depended on God being God. It was rooted in the belief that God would act according to his divine wisdom and sovereignty, whether that meant a dramatic rescue or not. You see, we often compartmentalize God. We bank on specific characteristics or actions we expect from him in certain situations. When we pray for deliverance, we're all about the God the rescuer hat. But if things don't turn out as we hoped, we sometimes struggle because we've boxed God into just that role. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego didn't limit God to a one-size-fits-all role. Their faith was anchored in a God far bigger and more complex than they could grasp. They understood that their faith wasn't just about the momentary outcome but about acknowledging God's eternal, all-encompassing sovereignty. It's easy to rely on a simplistic version of faith, where God is expected to fulfill our desires as we envision them. But when life takes an unexpected turn, let's embrace the fullness of faith, trusting not just in what God can do but in who he is. Like our 3 friends in the furnace, let's stand confidently, whether we're delivered from the flames or walk through them, knowing that our God is always good and ever in control.